Joe Gibbs has built championship teams in two of America's most demanding sports, coached Hall of Fame players, and navigated decades of professional pressure that would break most people. Nothing prepared him for this. When Kyle "Rowdy" Busch passed away on May 21, 2026, at just 41 years old, Gibbs didn't lose a driver or a statistic. He lost a family member whose fire had defined the most electric chapter in Joe Gibbs Racing's history. "Bigger than life," Gibbs said. "It is the only phrase that comes close." Gibbs has used many words to describe Kyle Busch over 15 years together, but the one that stuck came from a crew chief who captured it perfectly. Kyle was a NASCAR locomotive. Get on board and he would carry you to heights you never imagined. Stand in front of him and he would not slow down. It was not a criticism. It was the most accurate portrait anyone ever drew of the man. That unstoppable energy produced 2 Cup Series championships in 2015 and 2019 under the JGR banner, along with a level of sustained dominance that Gibbs believes the sport will not see replicated. Kyle brought to every race weekend a burning desire so pure and so relentless that it set him apart from every peer who lined up beside him. Gibbs did not just appreciate that quality, he built an entire championship culture around it. Gibbs is the first to admit the relationship had friction. After a second-place finish in New Hampshire, Kyle walked straight up to him and said plainly, "Your cars suck." No filter, no diplomacy, no cushioning. Just a perfectionist holding everyone around him to the same impossible standard he held himself. Gibbs accepted those moments because he understood what was underneath them. The same fire that produced that outburst in New Hampshire also produced the image that stays with him forever. Kyle lying on a hospital gurney in Daytona in 2015, both feet shattered after a brutal crash, demanding that doctors fix him immediately so he could get back to racing. He returned that season, won 5 races, and claimed the championship. Gibbs visited him in that hospital room and walked away understanding that he had never coached anyone quite like this, in football or in racing. The memory Gibbs holds most privately is the last time they spoke. After Ty Gibbs won his first race at Bristol, Kyle called, not for business, not for any professional reason, but simply to offer congratulations. A quiet, unprompted gesture of genuine warmth from a man the public had spent years misreading as cold and self-serving. That was the last conversation they ever had. Gibbs carries it now not as a footnote but as the truest definition of who Kyle Busch actually was. Someone who, when the cameras were off and nothing was required of him, chose kindness. The official JGR statement that followed his death said what Gibbs felt completely. "Our hearts are broken for Samantha, Brexton, Lennox, and the entire Busch family." Because for Gibbs, the championships are secondary. A husband is gone. A father is gone. And that is the loss that has no trophy case and no consolation. At Charlotte Motor Speedway in the days that followed, the garage told the story without words. Drivers across the entire field wore Busch hats and t-shirts. Teams placed memorial decals above the driver's side doors of their own cars. Ross Chastain climbed to the top of his car in victory lane, extended his arm across his body, and performed Kyle's signature bow, the same celebration Rowdy had used across 234 career victories. "I have to do it," Chastain said, before following it with his own trademark watermelon throw. 2 generations of NASCAR personality paying tribute in the same spontaneous gesture. The medical evaluation the family released confirmed what many had feared. Severe pneumonia had progressed into sepsis, producing complications that moved faster than anyone could intervene. A body that had survived 200 miles per hour crashes had been taken by something invisible, and the sport stood in the garage at Charlotte, trying to make sense of a silence that did not belong there. Gibbs finds whatever comfort is available in 2 places. The first is the knowledge that Brexton Busch, already armed with nearly 50 racing victories at a young age, already carrying every ounce of his father's competitive fire, will one day climb into a Cup Series car with a number 8 reserved for him by Richard Childress Racing. The story Kyle Busch started is not finished. It has simply passed to the next generation. The second is a belief Gibbs holds personally and quietly, that a life lived with that much passion, that much intensity, that much love for family and sport and competition, is not simply extinguished. "I find comfort in knowing I'll see him again," Gibbs has said. Between those 2 anchors, the son who carries the name forward and the faith that the spirit endures, Gibbs is navigating the loss the only way a man of his experience knows how. One day at a time, honoring the locomotive by keeping the tracks running.